What's up, homies, homettes, everybody? We're live here in the Forge. I just barely made it. I was busy getting some garland put up on the stream. Oh gosh, here we go. Let's see here. All right. So we're here for any of your. I'll get the news pulled up. Probably on a pretty hard out around the hour mark, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Could push it a half hour, of course, but Tuesday's busy day. We make time for this extra specially on Tuesdays. Come on here. Make sure we're up and running on the phone. Yeah, looks like it. There we go. I think. Yes. Yes, we look good. All right. Let's pull up the news. Start looking at that. NFL type news, of course, fantasy football type news. While we let anybody come in with any questions, and we'll answer your questions. Let me put that up. There we go. Put that up. So, a little faux pas on my end. Had an old image up, so a lot of people that might have seen this throughout the day might have just thought it was like an old video that got posted or something, because it said week 13 fantasy football live, whatever the heck the title is. On the big image, the title of the video was right, but the image was not. Sup, Austin? So for the last 2 hours, people might not have realized that I was trying to advertise the fact that I'd be going live tonight. Just thought they were looking at an old video in their feed. All right, so Joe Thomas said, as dangerous as hits on quarterbacks are when the quarterback chooses to slide, we need to stop allowing quarterbacks to fake slide or late slide in order to gain yardage and confuse the defenders on if the quarterback is sliding or not. That is true. I agree. Quarterbacks have been taking advantage of rules that are there to protect them for a little too long, and it should be like a personal foul. Why not? What is up, Austin? Got eliminated from the playoffs in the league for starting Garrett Wilson over Terry McLaurin. Brah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I had Garrett Wilson over McLaurin. I had McLaurin pretty high, but I still had Wilson pretty high too. That sucks. That sucks. That hurts. Yeah, Wilson's a little lower in the rankings this week. Nothing crazy. I have my wide receivers done. I actually have the video all done too. I still got to load it up, but let's see, where did he land this week? With a lot of buys too, all the way down at wide receiver 21. A little bit of a fall there. Could go higher though. There's a couple of guys who could go a little lower with. 11-2 in my other league, and I'm in second place in my other. Well, there we go. That's good. That does suck though. Miriam Kim, how's it going? Wait, do I still have a chance at the playoffs if I'm 6-7 and it's 10 people league? It depends your league, my man. You definitely might. A lot of leagues, from what I've heard, and this is true of one of my leagues, especially. A lot of people are in like that, 6-7, 5-8, 8-5, 7-6 kind of territory. One of my leagues, almost everybody in the league except for myself. Let's see what it was, where it ended up after last week at least. And our playoffs start this week. So I'm in my playoffs in one league, and I'm the worst, not the worst team, but I have the worst record in another league. That team was probably better than the team that I have going into the playoffs at one point, at least. But I've had more fantasy points scored against me by like 200 points and 300 points over anybody else. It's been that league. I've just been getting trounced. I've done okay, not great myself, and in part due to injuries and stuff. And the weeks where I actually did quite good, like where I was second or third highest scoring, I was facing the first or second highest scoring like 4 times. That happened in that league. So I started off 3-1, and then I lost every game since, including last week, where once again I was favored to win. I've been favored to win in that league a lot, but never worked out. So the league where everybody's really, really close, I'm second in this league. Standings. Okay, so things did spread out a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but still 5-8, 6-7, 8-5, 9-4, 6-7, 7-6, 9-4, 8-5, 9-4. Then there's 2 4-9s, so a little bit below, but up until last week would have been pretty close possibly. And a 3-10, just one down there with still a 3-10 wins. Ain't terrible. That's what I have in my other league. So pretty similar scoring throughout. Yep, depends on the standings. You should. I don't know. It depends your program too. There should be an area where you could look and it'll tell you like the percent chance you have of making the playoffs. At least as of tomorrow, like ESPN has that in their standings area. All right, so this week you have Dell, Collins, Stevenson, Knicks, and Denver defense out. Not to mention that Taysom Hill is hurt on your roster. That's not going to be good if you're 6-7, and then you got all that going on. But I mean, really, all we truly have to get over should be like Collins, right? And Denver defense, I suppose. Most likely. Other than that, Stevenson, you may or may not have somebody on your roster that can fill in really nicely. Bo Nix, you should be able to get something that can compete or do better than he might have against any average matchup. Tank Dell, I know you might have been relying on him, but he hasn't really, come through for you too often. Thanksgiving, Miriam, was good. Thank you for asking. How was your Thanksgiving? I have no complaints. There wasn't anything special, about it either. I tried making an apple crisp with like a pistachio crumble on top of it. Not tried, I did make one. And it turned out really well. It was absolutely delicious. So I was happy with that. Austin, start 3. Austin, I do not have my rankings done yet. I can tell you on the early returns here. Since these are wide receivers, I do have that. So Jacoby Myers will be up there. I don't really want to start Tyreek Hill, but I have him higher than Juwan Jennings, so I don't necessarily want to start. But I do have Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jacoby, and Tyreek, I think, is going to be what I've got on that one. And then if you don't feel comfortable with Tyreek, I've got Jameson Williams going against Green Bay. I'm not ecstatic about that. I do want to see what he did last time against Green Bay. I haven't looked at that yet to help determine exactly where I end up ranking him. DeAndre Hopkins. If you felt uncomfortable with Tyreek Hill and wanted to go DeAndre this week, it's not a fantastic matchup against the Chargers, but that would be the guy I would do that with. Oh, you got Brian Thomas Jr. too. Hold up. Where the heck are you, BTJ, this week? Just a little bit behind DeAndre, going up against Tennessee. But, my logic last week ended up working out pretty well for me. So that's tough. There's a little group there. DeAndre, Marvin, Brian Thomas, that are all kind of clogged together in the rankings. Right behind, like, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, Devontae. So, yeah, Austin. Right now, I've got it JSN, Tyreek, and Jacoby. Definitely playing Jacoby. Definitely playing JSN. I think. And then the question is do you want to sit Tyreek against the New York Jets or not? Drop Dell? Miriam, if you got to make room, Dell, I mean, yeah, you could drop him to make room for something. I'm leaning JSN, Tyreek, Jacoby. All right, Austin. Yeah, that matches my rankings. Griffin, MPC. How is it going, Griffin? Ethics question. All right. We got a what's that show? I can't think of the name of it. CBS does fantasy cops question here. So you're number 2 in the league. Number 1 has 1, and they're sharp, and just lost Garendo, and has me covered in fab. He just lost Garendo and has you covered in fab. I'm pretty sure he'll outbid me for Garendo, and there are few. I win the Garendo sweepstakes. It's a pretty sharp league, and I have $54, which is bottom roughly 5. Sorry, he lost Mason. Okay, so yeah, he loses Mason, which ultimately, I mean, it sucks timing-wise, but he never had Mason because Mason went down as quickly as he was available. He's got you covered in fab. Pretty sure that he will outbid you. I'm confused. So you did end up already winning a bid for him or not? I win the Grendo sweepstakes. What do you mean? How did you win it if you're at the bottom, Griffin? I don't know what the question is. Put all your money out there, though. Try for it. Yeah, you'll probably get outbid. Mark Folkman. So, need some clarification there. Papa Blood, what's up? Listening in tonight while watching basketball. Go Hoosiers. Hey, you had a boy. Well, thank you for stopping in, Papa. Should be a quick one tonight, in and out. Got to get back to working on my rankings, but I always like to be available for some of these questions. And Griffin, once again, I'm sorry, I don't know the question that I'm supposed to be answering on that one. But if you want Grendo, that's awesome. Mark, would you rather have Purdy, Anthony Richardson, Winston, or Stafford rest of season in a single quarterback league? All right, well, let's look at this a little closer. We've got some time. We're not loaded up with questions. Rest of season. So we're going to look at... I like Purdy, but we're starting off rough this week with Chicago, Rams, Miami, Detroit. I mean, that's not a stellar lineup, actually. It feels like it should be. Last year, that would have been, quite the lineup there. Not great. He's got a high floor, prior to last week. And week 1, floor of 15 fantasy points. Typically got you around 20. We can probably do better. Let's see. Anthony Richardson, Winston, Stafford. Ugh. Okay, so we're probably not going to trust Stafford unless he's just got all excellent matchups for passing, and he just doesn't. So we're going to go Purdy over Stafford so far. We might just want to match up Anthony Richardson and Purdy or something here. Okay, I got to go somewhere else to find Anthony Richardson's schedule. Jameis Winston also slinging it. Yo, what is up, Metro? Wait, how did I introduce you the other day? Domo Arigato, Mr. Metro Atto? Alright, Miami, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Okay, so Jameis Winston, I mean, it's never going to feel pretty. Cincinnati sure looks nice. Kansas City, I don't know if they're going to be getting Jalen Watson back or not. If so, that'd be nice. Pittsburgh's a tough matchup, but then, see what he just did against Denver, and I don't see why they're not, he scored, a lot of points. Are you really going to bring in the reins too much on him? I mean, they've kind of slow rolled him. Maybe they let the reins go a little too much. They pull him in, it's touch. But they're not trying to win games really necessarily at this point. All right, 1 second, Mark, and I'll get back to this. Griffin clarifying a question for me. Zaya, hello, how are you doing? Is there any good football news going on that happened today? Did I miss anything interesting? I certainly didn't notice anything in my notifications. All right, so do you cross your fingers and hope that $54 can win Garendo tonight when waivers run, which I think is unlikely, or do I make sure my league mates know where they stand and that they'll have to cover his remaining $69 to get Garendo? If you wouldn't do it, I think if you wouldn't do it normally, then you shouldn't do it. So you're saying, should you alert your the rest of your league mates to know that if they don't want so and so to get Garendo, all they have to bid is more than 69 fab, and then they can get Garendo. You wouldn't normally go out there. I am a person. I don't like to play. I'm okay getting a little bit crazy, but I think that's a general rule. You don't want to cause drama. You don't want to get kicked out of your league. No reason to cause drama on top of that, and I don't think you want to risk getting kicked out of your league. That would be stepping over a line, going out of your way. You wouldn't normally do that. You don't normally do that, I assume. Go out there. Maybe you do. If you do, then if this is standard mode of operation for you to alert the league to, what you consider to be the best prospect of the week and how much fab the person that you think is most likely to try to get them will spend on it, then you could do it. Otherwise, I would not. I think you just got to hope that somebody out there will be sharp enough. Like you said, you think that they are a sharp league, so hopefully, somebody will see that $69. Sounds like that's not a whole lot of fab either. If your 54, is less than most of the league, bottom 5. Hopefully somebody will be sharp enough to bid for it. Cross your fingers, bid all 54. He's going to be a pretty hot ticket item. It's near the end of the year. And I don't know how your league mates play in terms of the season's over or not, in terms of bidding on the waiver wire. I think that should be free reign all season long because you can still impact the playoffs right up until the last week. It depends on who you're playing against. And so I think that starts to limit things if all of a sudden people can't be active on the waiver wire. Yeah, it's not totally out of line. Correct. I think you have a pretty good beat on it. Pretty ethically where that lies. The fact that you have to ask the question, I think, says pretty much everything about it. Yeah. Griffin, I'd prefer not to myself. But, hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win, or whatever, however that quote goes. I don't live by that quote myself, but a lot of people do. Plenty enough people do, so you do what you got to do, man. But yeah, I wouldn't support it. So you're very, very welcome. Thank you for stopping on through. And whatever you end up doing, best of luck with it. And I hope that everything works in your favor, regardless. Is it worth dropping Pitts for Isaac? Probably. You have Cotton at tight end. Yeah, I think generally Cotton and Pitts are, no better or worse than one another at this point in fantasy. Running backs are JT, Achane, Aaron Jones, Tyron Tracy. I mean, you got a good running back group, but you also don't want to go up against Isaac. If you see Pitts on the other side of the ball, you're not crying about it. Okay, so that's where I am right now. Mark, the last one we want to look at was Anthony Richardson. Let me pull up the rest of season schedule rankings. Rest of season. And that was Anthony Richardson. New York Giants, Tennessee, Denver, the bye this week. So a couple weeks can't use them. I would... What was Brock Purdy? Okay, so week 14... So you go Brock Purdy 15. Week 14 is not too great, though. And if you were to pair that up with Richardson, well, you can't. You'd have to play him week 14 against Chicago. I mean, he could be okay for that, but it's probably not your best upside. You got Winston, who I think I would, at this point, just rather trust in a tough matchup. His is tough, going up against Pittsburgh. But then you can also get Winston for week 16. Then And you're kind of looking at week 15 and 17. What's Brock got going 15 and 17? That's the Rams and Detroit. You want to hold on to 3? Or you got to pick just one here? What's the question again? Stafford was gross. So it's between those 3. Man, I think... Oh, I can't believe this. I got to choose one rest of season. Well, I can't play Anthony Richardson next week. So, in a one quarterback league, if I only got one quarterback here, I can't even play Anthony Richardson, I should say this week, in week 14. So, I'll trust Winston in a tough matchup over Purdy in a tough matchup, I suppose, at this point. Stafford. I'm playing this. I mean, I'm basically playing what you got week by week, though. None of these guys are like smash plays. And Stafford's in a tough matchup against Buffalo as well. Yeah, I'll just go with the guy I know is going to sling it a crap ton in Winston and hope for something similar to what we saw last week. Mark, I'm going to go Winston there. Crazily enough. It's a lot easier said than done. That's all I know. So, Mark, I hope that helps you out at some point, some way. Do you think that Nico Collins is a top 3 wide receiver rest of season? Zaya, yeah, pretty much. Let's see here. So, you got Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Amon St. Brown, Puka, Nico, and you're already into like T. Higgins, Drake, Terry. T. Higgins honestly is right on the heels of Jamar Chase at this point in fantasy. Boy, he's top like 4. You know, it's incredibly close to top 3 rest of year. I would trade Amon St. Brown for Nico. You know, I would take Nico over Amon St. Brown for sure. Puka, it kind of comes down to the schedules. Justin Jefferson, I'd have to see the schedule there as well. Based on how that's been going lately, you know, the ceiling for me just feels higher for Nico than both Puka and Justin Jefferson in general. And then A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase, it's really tough to say Nico over them, but honestly, I mean, yeah, Nico's somewhere between the number 1 and like number 4. So top 3, I would say yes. The shortest of answers to that, yes. Clinched my spot yesterday. Need Knicks to get me 12.6, and he got me over 14. Congratulations. Hey, Knicks. Yeah, barely came through for you, but he came through. That's good. Pitts is straight up Pitts. It's been ugly as of late. What he's done on the season, there's still, I mean, all it'll take is 1 week of Pitts having a good week, and all of a sudden he'll be back. Being ranked fairly highly and everything. He's not going to be all the way Pitts for me in my tight end rankings. I've got him. My early tight end rankings are done. I just got them done before we went live. I have him just like outside of. So I have Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson ranked higher than him. Both, we don't know if they're going to play, right? So if they were not to play, Pitts this week with a lot of injuries, give it 12th. A lot of bye weeks, just behind Tucker Kraft. But he's like the next, he does begin the next tier. 1 spot ahead of Pat Fryermuth, 1 spot behind the 2 unknowns, Tucker Kraft, Kate Otten, Sam Laporta, Evan Ingram, TJ Hawkinson, Johnny Smith, etc. Metro. Oh, hi, Austin. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. How is it going? My team name in 2022 was Pitsend of Despair. Beautiful, Griffin. IP14, should I dump all my fab on Juwan Jennings? I would be starting him over Romeo Dobbs. Yeah, if you're not going for Isaac Rendo, I mean, a lot of people will be going for Grendo, but you can like stack your fab, like, oh, if that doesn't come through, I assume there are ways to do that. So I would. It's 27. I mean, it depends where that ranks you. If you have the most in the league, I would try to bet like 17 or something like that. It depends a little bit on where the league is at. I would, generally speaking, rather have Juwan Jennings than Romeo Dobbs. This week, I am concerned about bustability for Juwan Jennings this week alone, but I still will almost certainly have him ranked higher than Romeo Dobbs. So, for whatever that's worth. Let me see San Francisco's schedule next rest of the season wasn't great for quarterbacks. Sometimes it's a little bit different for wide receivers. So rest of the season for Juwan, Rams, Miami, Detroit, Chicago this week. Once again, it's like it sounds better than it is. Rams has been turning it around a little bit. I don't know how real or not that is in terms of their past defense, but they have been playing significantly better as of late. All right, Mark, thanks for your time. I guess I have to try and stream quarterbacks. Hopefully no one takes them when needed. Yeah, it's kind of a good year for streaming quarterbacks, but at the same time, it's looking like a lot of the guys that we've been trusting in streaming, it's kind of a week by week thing right now. All right, so dump your fab on Juwan Jennings. I don't know how much better it'll get than Juwan Jennings. If you need a wide receiver, I can't think of anybody that's gonna come along that's better for wide receiver help. So I'd say yeah, sure. Gotcha. Yeah, if you're playing for your life this week and everything, go for it. Bench McLaurin and Brian Thomas, but still ended up dropping 200 points. Hey, attaboy. Nobody trusts McLaurin. I was getting a bunch of questions about McLaurin. I had him really high in my rankings. Quite high. I can't remember exactly where. I can look. Well, this isn't be end of the week rankings, so there could have been a couple guys higher. But 13th at the end of the week. There were what? 3-4 games before that, so anywhere from like 15th or so to like 20th, depending. Oh, I had a lot of questions on him though, where I suggested him that people were very iffy on that. Let's see, got eliminated for starting Garrett Wilson in the playoffs. Tua Goff or Herbert this week, Austin? I've got 1 moment. I do have wide receivers. The first things I do. I didn't rank them yet, really, but I have a very rough ranking of them, I should say. I didn't go through it though. So Tua, Goff, or Herbert this week. Goff, in a good matchup for productive in terms of the possibility of him going off. So this will be a week I'll be kind of on board with Goff. Herbert projects better than Goff going up against Kansas City. Definitely some optimism there. Man, my gut says Goff there. I don't know exactly where I'll end up. Rankings wise, they'll be very close, I'm sure. Tua? No. We're not messing with Tua against the New York Jets. I think there's a decent chance I might end up with Goff one spot ahead of Justin Herbert or so. So I think I'm going for Goff with for the big game this week against Green Bay. Garrett and Cup, and you clinched. Nice. I benched. Was it Thomas? Thomas have like 19.5 PPR? I think it was Thomas I ended up benching for maybe Waddle or something. Still scored above average in my league, like 126. Top 3 type score most weeks, if not more, some weeks. What do you think about Tyreek rest of year? Do you think he will average around 15 points? Yeah, it's kind of like what he's been all season long is what he'll be rest of season for the most part. Rest of year, I think would be about what I think of him. I don't really think any better or worse of him rest of season. I don't know how much schedule would really impact that. Houston, Cleveland on the schedule. Yeah, slightly optimistic this week against the New York Jets, and then San Francisco in a couple of weeks. I mean, that's really not a scary matchup either. They got it as a bad matchup here on Fantasy Pros, but I don't agree with that. Let's see. Half PPR. Well, they're not good, but they allow... Okay. San Fran, respectable. Definitely below average. So, two really nice matchups for him. And then, in those below average matchups, I mean, you still think that he can do something for you, hopefully. Kind of like this week. Like, well, hopefully it works out. Average around 15 points. Full PPR. I would say he'll average around 7 receptions, 80 yards. So, yeah, 15 points. A little bit less maybe in those tougher weeks. Maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. Hopefully, I mean, shoot, Tua's back. 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, I would say he'll probably average over 15 with 2 games maybe below 15 and 2 games above. 1 or 2 games could be pretty big. I'm looking forward to that Houston game if I'm a Tyreek owner. That's going to be our first week of the playoffs, I think. Pitts is going to be like 1 great game, maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Jonnu, rest of the season, top, like, 7. Right now, looking at, the guys this week, but then there's... Mark Andrews is going to be back up here, right, with Sam Laporta as top 10 guys. Yeah, top 10. It's actually, I guess this year, top 10 is kind of decent at tight end. So, top 10, definitely not top 15. A strong top 10er, This week, right now, I have him ranked 6th. Some injuries. Mark Andrews, I don't think would be ranked higher than him this week, but could work himself into it next week. He's been a lot better. Sam Laporta, I don't quite trust what he's been getting because it hasn't been a lot of targets, but he has been doing well enough as of late. He has been coming through to the point that he's back in this conversation as a starter. So, those guys are creeping up to where... all of a sudden we might be like, this is the guy we drafted and we think he's here, and they start getting ranked over Jonnu Smith, but currently they're behind Jonnu. Grendo already rostered. Japan just needed for this week. My other receivers are stacked. Neighbors, London, Higgins, Thomas. Dope. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Pretty good group. I need to drop 2 to start 2. I need to drop 2, start 2. Wow, okay. Interesting. I gotta pick 2 to drop and pick 2 to start here. Gus, Bigsby, Brooks, Ray Davis, McNichols, Corum. Oh my gosh. Well, I start Chuba and Brian Robinson Jr. Can I do that, Griffin? Thus, some value to Nichols Brooks as handcuffs to my sad running back room. Oh, I got what you're saying. Alright, so we're kind of thinking start rest of season, so we would like to hold on to maybe, for sure, Brooks we would like to hold on to. McNichols, B-Rob isn't quite. McNichols is the Austin Eckler replacement. So really what we want to see for him is, are we expecting Washington to be in games where they might be behind or not rest of season? So Brian Robinson Jr., rest of season, you got New Orleans, Philly, Atlanta, bye week here. So New Orleans, you could play him in a pinch. You cannot start him this week, though. Philly might be a McNichols week, surprisingly. And Atlanta actually might be in McNichols' game because they're pretty good against the run up the gut. So I would think that like Chris Rodriguez Jr. will not be a big part of that game plan. Brian Robinson, of course, will, but then maybe he struggles a little bit, and McNichols might be able to do a little something against him. So like he's a decent option there. I think it might be where you can't trust him by the time we get to week 17 if he does nothing up until that point. But we did see him do something earlier this season too when he had a chance. So I would like to, I'm pretty much would like them. I don't think that like the running back of Trevor Lawrence lists, especially Jacksonville's very much. So I think we can drop Bigsby. And I think we can drop Gus. The only thing is, this week, I probably need to start Gus. So then we're looking at, are we dropping Ray Davis or Corum? And I suppose the drop is probably Ray Davis. And then you're playing Corum off of whatever the heck happened. I feel like Blake Corum, I think there was a punishment in that first quarter for Kyron Williams. So I'm not really relying on like Blake Corum all of a sudden seeing 8 carries again. But I don't know. Maybe they're setting something up. Are going up against Buffalo next week. That's a good run game. Maybe they could get them both going. So you could take the chance on that. I'd play Gus, and I would play... You can't play McNichols. I'm not going to play Bigsby. We're cutting him. Probably not going to trust Brooks with what he's done. Unless the matchup begs for it, which I doubt it does. I don't know what would. Philly. And that could be a game where they like Chuba struggles and then they bring in Brooks and he does something. But I wouldn't bet on it. So yeah, I'm going to go with, I guess we start Gus. We start Corum. Who's Buffalo playing? Just let me make sure I don't want to just hold up. I guess I should see who's Buffalo's playing against. What are the odds that Blake Corum gets out there? Against the Rams. They've been pretty solid against the run up until lately. Compared to... Okay, so the Rams are going against them. Yeah, you know what? Shoot. I guess let's go Corum there then. Yeah. So Gus and Corum is who you're starting. You're going to hold on to, and then you're going to drop Bigsby and Ray Davis. And hold on to Brooks and McNichols. Or you can hold on to Davis and drop McNichols. That'd be perfectly fine. Ray Davis has more upside. You have Chuba, you have B-Rob. Yeah, I feel like you're hoping that you don't have to play McNichols. Let's go with Ray Davis. Let's drop McNichols. Let's screw it, You're probably not going to be playing him if he goes off. So let's just keep Ray Davis, Corum, Gus, and Brooks. Bigsby McNichols can go. John Bowe, do you think I should pick up Darnold this week? Worried about Mahomes' matchup. John, Darnold over Mahomes this week is your question, essentially. Let's see. I've got Patrick Mahomes going against the Chargers. I mean, Chargers defense has kind of shown itself in recent weeks. He's 10th in my rankings right now. Darnold is 5th. Going up against Atlanta? Yeah, sure. Darnold, definitely a better start than Mahomes. Hello, need to win this week to make the playoffs. Darnold. Do it, John. Do it. Do it right. Do it good. Your neck, your back. If Johnny's target volume continues, this floor is like 8 to 10 points, which for tight ends is amazing. Yeah, I don't think there's a single tight end with an 8 to 10 point floor, but full PPR, sure, yes. Baker or Darnold, I got Evans starting. Darnold. Let's see, I've got Baker and Darnold back to back. Currently I have Baker higher. Projections say Darnold higher. They're both like, not looking the best that they've looked all season right now. I'll go with the guy who's had the better season. I'll stick with Baker. Man. See, the only thing is, like, Las Vegas isn't that far behind San Francisco, who we just, said wasn't a bad... Hold up, that's wide receivers. Where is it for quarterbacks? There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Good for quarterbacks. Yeah, better than Atlanta anyways. Okay, so that was my real concern was there going to be some sort of gap in how they perform, how they've allowed quarterbacks to perform against them that I didn't think about. Baker. IP14. They're probably going to end up back-to-back in my rankings like they are right now. So it's not by a big margin. If you feel better with Darnold, I wouldn't argue against it. Nathan Boyd, how you doing? Start one wide receiver, one running back, one flex. Happy to be our neighbors, London Jennings. We can sit Jennings pretty comfortably this week. D-Hop does not compare with Neighbors or London. We're going to... Ooh, I got to look at K9 Grendo there. So, wide receiver, Neighbors. Flex, probably London. Yeah, Neighbors in London, I believe. And... See, I've been worried. I've been talking about K9. Being disappointing the second half of the season, and it's slowly starting to come true. Not even slowly starting, it's so far coming true. So what's the matchup this week? I haven't done anything for running backs yet. Seattle, who the heck are you playing? Arizona. How did he do against Arizona like 3 weeks ago? And San Fran, by the way, who the heck are you playing? Chicago, which stinks against the run. I can't guarantee this is how I'll have it ranked, but I am feeling Grendo for the ceiling, at least. Ken Walker might end up getting ranked over him. That's mostly just going to be because of what he's done on the season and because tough to exactly predict Isaac Grendo and Patrick. How much do I think that Patrick, their other running back, used to be with the Packers, just like a solid running back kind of guy, not bad. How much will he factor in? Because he did factor in the last time that we saw Isaac Grendo and him playing together. And so that might push me a little bit Ken Walker-y. Like, do I think Isaac Grendo's going to get 16, 15 plus attempts? I don't know. It might be more like 12, which... He's a little boomer bust. I would just say he's kind of a boomer bust decision for Isaac Grendo. I think I'll probably end up having K9 ranked higher. I think. I don't know. I'll be keeping my ears to the ground on that one. That's tough to say at this point in the week, man. I can't guarantee you what I'm gonna do there. But Nathan, you got a pretty good idea of the top 4 for those 3 spots for me. Also, Baker, Goff, or Russell Wilson. Russell going up against Cleveland, not shabby. Goff, I do like this week. Baker is the guy, though. Yeah, we'll go with Baker on that one. Number one waiver wire ads this week, Miriam. It's Isaac Rendo. I do videos, so, and you can find this up on the website. Although, yeah, it should work right now. So, guys, the website, if you go on it, things will not be updated. But except for the fact that what you're looking at will be updated once you get to the rankings and everything. Just the titles and the page on everything will say like week 13, or maybe something might say week 12 around there. I'm currently not able to get into where I normally edit my WordPress manager to edit everything. I don't know what happened with that. I may or may not have to spend $10 a year now to do what I was doing previously for free or as part of my service that I'm still paying for. I don't know if something changed with the service, if there's an error, a mistake happened, or what. And the people I have my domain through are like, I think on the other side of the world. So I think they answered my ticket questions while I'm sleeping. So it's a process right now, finding out what to do there. And I don't even know if I know my password to get into it. Like, it's gonna be a freaking headache getting back into it, quite possibly. But I'm in the process of getting back to editing. Kamani Vidal, I have second. If you need somebody that's usable, I however, have Alexander Madison, Sincere McCormick, Jeremy McNichols, and Chris Rodriguez all as potentially usable guys. Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, not usable this week. Alexander Madison, Sincere McCormick, probably would lean towards Alexander Madison this week in a matchup where I expect him to be playing from behind. Sincere McCormick will be the guy I'd want if they're, potentially in a situation where they could run for him ahead, or just a team that's really leaky against the run. Kamani, you can't really use this upcoming week, but if you just want a sleeper just in case. Quarterbacks, I got Russell Wilson, Caleb Williams at the top of the list there. Wide receivers, Parker Washington, Adam Thielen, Nick Westbrook, Akina, MVS, Alec Pierce, although he's off this week as whatever guys. I still like Cedric Tillman, looking forward to week 16, especially against Cincinnati there. And then they've got Miami, and I mean, you just saw last week, it kind of doesn't matter the matchup. Quarterback's going to sling it there. Juwan Johnson, I think, is a sneaky play. There's still going to be several. I have him ranked 18th in my tight ends, but I wanted to point him out because rest of season he could be somebody who will end up being like a top 12 tight end. Yeah, there we go. There you go, Miriam. Question answered there. Disley over Ingram? No. Ingram, please. Even quarterback situation and all. Disley's coming off of his injury. I'm still going to have him ranked pretty well against Kansas City, but not too high. He put up a 0 burger last weekend. And that is a definite part of the reason why I lost that matchup in that league. I also need a tight end since Andrew's on bye. Do I pick up Juwan Johnson or Kraft? John Bowe, you would pick up Kraft there. He's in a matchup that could be high scoring. He's on a better offense, in a better situation. I do not mind the thought of Juwan Johnson, obviously, as I just talked about, but Kraft's better than Juwan Johnson at this point. Pick up Wilson over Knicks rest of the season. I don't know yet. Let's see here. My gut says no. Wilson's got some good matchups. Indy, Los Angeles Chargers, not great. Cincinnati, 2 really good matchups. One matchup that might not be so bad. Whereas Russell, who I don't really trust anyways, I liked him last week because he was going up against Cincinnati quite a bit. No offense, Senor Blood. All right, Cleveland, Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, rest of season. So, Baltimore is enticing. Kansas City by week 17. I mean, you could get anything in week 17, Kansas City, right? I think they'll be healthier. They'll probably want to get Jalen Watson if he's back, on the field for some reps and everything. So that could help clench up their defense. But also, so much could be clenched, and so quickly they could just start putting second, third string guys in, depending on so many factors. Pittsburgh's in a similar situation. Bo Nix, they're fighting tooth and nail, probably down to the end here. Nah, Bo Nix rest of the season, please. Not too terribly close there, really. Also need a tight end. Okay, we got that one. And I went backwards and I got that one. Miriam. If I missed anything, Miriam, let me know. I think I've got your questions there answered. Austin, full PPR. Jonnu has an awesome floor. Until a team lets Tua give it to Tyreek and Waddle, Jonnu will continue to be the top target. What will it take for JSN to be ahead of DK rest of season? Well, last week... Hold up. So 2 weeks ago, DK comes back for his first week back from injury and does get out-targeted by JSN. And honestly, he could get out-targeted. JSN could out-target DK, and I would still not be too crazy about it. But last week, DK got 9 targets and JSN got 4. I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't out-target him. 9 targets for DK Metcalf, 4 for JSN. 2.25 times more targets for DK. On the season, it's getting very close, but you know, the 13 target game as well. DK Metcalf is missing, so that obviously helps to beef his up a little bit compared to with DK. It's close, and once again, it doesn't have to be more targets because JSN's just a lower ADOT guy, but he does seem to be going with a little bit deeper routes. So right now, to me right now, it's going to be more so matchup based. I pretty much have him back to back. I talked about that a little bit in my video, actually, Austin. So I have them literally back to back in the rankings. I have DK one spot ahead of him, ahead of JSN, and I will be looking a bit closer at the matchup. But typically, if I feel like the team does not have a stud CB1, so in other words, they're going to have to try to use the team to shut a guy down, whatever. If they don't have a guy who can just work on DK Metcalf, then I'm probably going to lean towards DK Metcalf. He's still the primary target there. Oh, I thought you said DK didn't. I got it. Would you rather have Judy or Tillman rest of season? I'd still rather have Tillman. He's targeted Tillman more than Judy in games when they were both playing. 2 to 3 or something like that. I got it right here. But, I mean, it's, you know... It's obviously very risky saying that, given the last performances of each of those two guys. Well, let's say it like that. Like, I'm just not afraid to take those risks of, like, well, I look at what's more commonly how things have worked. But obviously, Judy coming off of a huge game. Okay, where is this? So Jerry Judy, Cedric Tillman since week... I think it's like 8 here. I mean, I can tell by the targets which week it is. 7. Since week 7. Cedric Tillman 12, Judy 6. Cedric Tillman 9, Judy 8. Cedric Tillman 11, Judy 11. So actually you can see that gap closing in there. Week 11, they're both healthy as well. And actually, Jerry Judy does out-target Cedric in that game. But that week, that was Cedric Tillman up against an elite... I want to say maybe that's Denver or something. That can't be Denver because they just played them. Pittsburgh? That wouldn't quite be elite. But that was a game where I was nervous about Cedric Tillman. And there are more of those. Man. Oh no, maybe that's next week. Week 11. Who the hell did they play week 11? Let me see. It's New Orleans. I mean, I guess, no. I mean, they traded away their, like, elite corner. You know, maybe the answer is Jerry Judy. I guess Jerry Judy. I'm going to change it. I'm gonna go Jerry Judy. You see the trend there after that mop up the first week with Jameson Cedric, and slowly he starts to work with Judy more. And if you think about it, he was probably working with Cedric Tillman more any offseason at any times that he got reps. Uh, so maybe that connection was a little bit tighter. And then he found out that, hey, this Jerry Judy guy is pretty good. Apparently, book's still out on that for sure, but at least with Winston. So yeah, final answer. I'm gonna go actually Jerry Judy there. Oddly enough, which means I wish I had good question. D Hop or Waddle or Gus? Hell no to Gus on that one. I've got D Hop ranked over Waddle so far this week. I don't think that will change. So, D Hop for me there, IP. Pretty confident on that one. Jay Burke, how's it going? Dropping CMC and Dobbins for championship games, picking up McCormick. Sincere. All right, McCormick versus Bigsby for the championship game. Jay. Well, talk about the playoffs. I mean, at least you're there, right, Jay? Do you have a chance, Jay, at getting, I assume not, but at getting Isaac Rendo? I got Judy, not because of last week. I just feel like Judy is the number one. I pulled Tillman and Judy, but I can't play either with Amon and Nico. Nah. I mean, flex, maybe. You're just going to play them both just because for the hell of it? Raphael. All right, guys, we'll be closing up shop soon here so I can get back to the rankings. But, of course, I will make sure no questions go unanswered. So, sit 1, Laporta or Ingram, week 14. I currently have Ingram one spot ahead of Laporta, but I have the two highlighted because I got to look closer at that one. I just quickly did my flex rankings right before going live here. My flex rankings. My tight end rankings. Obviously, Ingram projects better right now than Sam, but there's also other factors going on, right? So, what I wanted to look at here really was, okay, Tennessee, Green Bay against tight ends. I'll look at this right now. I'll come to my determination on that one for you here. I'm working from half PPR here. Ro, how's it going, my man? I've been well. How have you been? Thank you for stopping on through. All right, Tennessee, Green Bay are the defenses. Against the tight end position. So, Tennessee, I'm pretty good against tight ends. They are going to be Al-Shaair-less, and Al-Shaair would be a part of why they might be effective against tight ends. And a lot of times that linebacker core has a lot to do with how well or not tight ends play against him. Teams haven't targeted him a whole lot, haven't gotten a whole lot of yardage, not a whole lot of receptions, is maybe just below average. Touchdowns is on the lower-ish end. Yeah, so not a lot of fantasy points scored against him. Green Bay, on the other hand, linebacker core is weak against. They can be had. And they are had much more than Tennessee. So I will end up putting Sam Laporta ahead of Ingram. Thus, I suggest that you play Sam Laporta over Ingram by a thin margin-ish, but he's starting to get a little bit more involved. We'd like to see those targets go up. He's been pretty touchdown reliant, but yeah, we'll go that route. You're very welcome, Ralph. Nice to see you around, my man. Jason Ortiz, how are you doing? Are we all going? Are we going all in on Grundo? I mean, yeah, you always go all in on the next man up in the San Francisco backfield. We've been here before, and they all produce pretty well. Pretty well. I am a little bit afraid of how much he's going to split with Patrick, whatever, but he's definitely the one to own for fantasy. Just hopefully the split isn't too heavy. Very close between both JSN, DK, Tillman, Judy. Yeah, I'll have to. Let's see. Look at my wide receiver rankings here. So I've got. Let's see here. How do I have this ranked out? Got Jerry Judy 33rd, Jerry Cedric Tillman 32nd. I will say in terms of the projections, Cedric Tillman does project a little bit better than Jerry Judy. This was another matchup too. I was thinking, Cedric Tillman probably draws the ire of Joey Porter the most. Joey Porter, a big physical guy too, could actually man up against Cedric Tillman pretty well. So I was already feeling a little bit Jerry Judy-ish on that one. And now I have flipped them. Hold up. I lied to you. Now I have flipped them. I was a little early on that. I had not resorted it yet. So then, what do you guys think? Jordan Addison against Atlanta, Jerry Judy against Pittsburgh. I think it's Jordan Addison. Kind of, obviously, right? Kind of has to be. IP14 going Addison. Yeah, let me know, guys, on that one. Junior finna drop 5. Right? I mean, it feels like it's only natural that he's going to just absolutely poop on a stick. Ro, once again, thank you for stopping on through, man. I hope you have been well. I have been well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I secured the 1 seed, so might as well play the guys I can't play usually. All right, Austin, I like the attitude. You got $48 left, Ortiz. Jay, I appreciate you for piping on in there for Addison. Attaboy. All right. So that will be where we end that little spot in the rankings. Man, I tell you, Jerry Cedric, they sure project well. I won a playoff game last week. Sorry, Jason. I'll get right back to you. Jay Berg's channel member. He helps the channel out. So I try to jump to him, and sometimes I make him wait anyways, and then I feel bad about it. So here's one time I could jump him ahead. I won playoff game last week. It's championship game. Winner goes on to the tournament. Oh, I remember this from last year. Yes. So it was a fun season for sure. Thank you. But looks like I'm done. Good night. Jay. Yeah. So won a playoff game last week. All right, yeah, you guys do it interestingly. Well, I'm glad you had fun at least, Jay. And I, of course, very much appreciate you being around. I don't know, Jay, do you tune in any bit for the NFL draft stuff? Let me know. Let me know if you check out any of that stuff. So Jason Ortiz, you got $48 left. You have 42 on Grendo, 4 on Jake Ferguson, or Thumbai, and 2 on Dobbs. Is that all too much? I don't know. I don't know what the fascination with getting Dobbs is this week. Do you want me to let you know what Dobbs has done, even in just recent weeks in fantasy football? Are you aware of this? Because I understand. I see. I think it's Fantasy Pros guys hyping Dobbs up as like a really, really high option to get off the waiver wire. He's not guaranteed. He's still in concussion protocol, and we got a Thursday game. So first of all, he may not play this week. I don't know what the likelihood is. I haven't seen details on it. Sometimes they're still in concussion. But to me, how I read it, it's like, no, he's still in concussion protocol right now. So, half PPR fantasy points. Week 12, 6.9. Week 11, 2.2. Week 10 was a bye. Week 9, 4.8. Week 8, 8.7. Not bad. Then he had that 2-week stretch, week 16, week 6 and 7, where he's got an 18-point game, a 13-point game. But then, earlier than that, 5.9, 2.3, 7.7, 7.0. And look, this is coming from somebody who thought that he's roster worthy, has always felt that he's roster worthy as a backup option to get you that 7, 8 9 points. But he's barely been that good. He had that 2 week stretch. And you know, his less than 6 point floor is almost, it's like a 40% chance of that so far based on what they've done in the season. Detroit's not necessarily a great high upside matchup, and he's already not a great high upside player. Now, I say all this, and watch, he's going to go off 6 receptions, 88 yards, and a touchdown or something, or maybe 2, something crazy. But I'm just saying, I don't know what the deal is with the hype on Romeo Doubs right now. I fail to understand it, and he might not be healthy for this game. I believe he's in. I mean, let me verify. Romeo Doubs still in concussion protocol as of today, 5 hours ago. Remains in concussion protocol, could play Thursday. Okay, so he's still in concussion protocol, but there is like optimism that he could play, I guess. That's not like the best case scenario, though, that's for sure. Where were we here? Judy is a good receiver. No, it's just James. Two sides of the same coin, right? IP, though, I don't think it's one game. I mean, you look at the season, Judy's been solid, and he had a terrible quarterback play early season, but Judy's been better, I think, in Cleveland than he ever was in Denver. We'll just say it like that. It's because it's between Dobbs or Wandale. So, Jason, you need a wide receiver. Let me just look at my rankings, make sure there's nothing crazy. I mean, obviously, MVS, Nick Westbrook, and Keene are already taken, I assume. I have Adam Thielen ranked higher than Wandale, and I don't have Dobbs ranked yet. Well, no, I do. I got Dobbs down somewhere in my 50s. I got Adam Thielen ranked higher right now. I have not messed with these rankings yet. This is just coming out of my rough draft, which is just some things that I put together, and then I get the average of those factors, or roughly an average from all those factors, and then I start moving them up and down. But Adam Thielen looking like he'll stick somewhere here in the 40s, definitely. Romeo Doubs, I could move up to the back end of the 40s, so they could end up close, but I think regardless, Adam will be ahead of Dobbs for me there. Elijah Moore? Nah, you ever think about that? Xavier Worthy, I assume, is a no-go. Roma Dunze is somebody who gets a lot of targets and everything, man. It just hasn't come together more than like 1 week. QJ, and then I got Wandale there. Wandale still at the higher floor. I don't know how much of that is early season stuff. And Demarcus Robinson against Buffalo isn't, I don't think, the worst play in the world either. If you're looking for a little upside chance, doesn't have as safe of a floor as Dobbs. See what happens first with the waivers. I just really need Garendo and Jake Fergie at least. Okay, yeah, if multiple of those names were available, I don't think I'd put money on getting Dobbs. Parker Washington, nah. Looking at some of the names that are behind Dobbs. So, like, I have Dobbs behind Michael Wilson, Jalen Tolbert, Tyler Lockett. I think he's going to move up ahead of all of those. I mean, Christian Watson, probably keep him ahead of Dobbs. Sterling Shepard is even somebody going up against Las Vegas, not terrible, who's been getting a decent amount of targets lately. I would say, just as much or more likely to get like 6 targets as Romeo Doubs is. And David Moore of Carolina, too, going up against Philly, though. So, I don't want to do that. That's about where she ends. All right. All right, 9:10 here. Probably looking to get out of here in 6 minutes, so let's see here. Yeah, I'm sure there's 32 better receivers than Cedric Tillman. I would probably, without thinking too hard on that one, say that that's almost certain. And it also depends. Like, I would rather have Josh Downs. I mean, you think about that. Is he a top 32? I don't even know if that. Uh, yeah, I think. Sorry, you're talking about Jerry Jeudy, of course, not Cedric Tillman. But still the same story. I think. I think. The fact that you two are disagreeing on this alone just shows that the jury is still out. I think it's probably the best way to say it. We don't know for sure. We could see a bit of a resurgence. His time in Denver was weird. His time early on with Cleveland, I thought he performed. He did well with a bad quarterback, unfortunately, and not or fortunately, I guess, depending on how you look at it, and Deshaun Watson. And now you got a guy who's just slinging it all around and is obviously padding these guys' stats to some degree because he's just fearless and that's what he does. But I mean, we don't hold the early years of Mike Evans' career against him, do we? Just because he had a similarly fearless, maybe slightly more fearful, but not by a whole lot, Jameis Winston thrown to him for so many years. And we don't call it like, oh, he padded Mike Evans' stats up. I mean, he very well might have. Mike Evans might not have gone over 1,000 yards every year of his career until at least maybe this year, if it wasn't for Mike Evans early on. If it wasn't for Cedric, Jesus, I give up. You know who I'm talking about. All right, Jason Ortiz. Bonaconda, we're spending most of my remaining fab on a playoff bubble and struggling to no. He's just back up there. They've got two running backs ahead of him for sure. He could never find any room in New York. I don't know what that's. Bonaconda is a real player. Israel Bonaconda? Don't want none unless you got offensive lineman, hun. I don't know. Yeah, John, you know what? I thought that was you, Jason. John, no, please don't. I don't know who's spreading Abonaconda propaganda out there. I know there are Abonaconda lovers. I think everybody's an Abonaconda lover. I think we all, thought that, there's a pretty good chance. Actually, I was not a lover. I liked him. There was a pretty good chance that he could, be a really good running back. Just hasn't been the case. But yeah, he's no, no. Go for Isaac Rendo, please. If he's not available, if you really need something that will actually play this week, Patrick. Hold up, let me get you his name because I keep forgetting. Patrick Taylor will be playing an uncertain amount of snaps for San Francisco. Could be anywhere from 3 and maybe 1 carry to 25 and 10 carries. I think I would rather though have take a shot. You can keep that in the pocket. Nobody's going for him, okay? I'm sure, unless you're in a 16-team league, Josh. Keep that one in the back pocket for now. Go out and hold and onto Alexander Madison. See if he comes back this week. If Alexander Madison comes back this week, Las Vegas is in a matchup where they should be playing from behind, which should get Alexander Madison onto the field more up against Tampa Bay there. And Tampa Bay really not great against receiving backs most of the year. Last week, for some reason, Carolina didn't take advantage of that weakness. But a lot of the season teams have been taking care of that weakness. So I will go Alexander Madison, John. And then if that falls through last minute, very last minute even, you can go pick up Patrick Taylor if he's available and the best. I know he probably won't be projected as the best, but if you're really just looking for something that's like, maybe, cross my fingers, maybe something will happen, he has a much better chance than Israel Abanikanda, that's for sure. Jalen Wright, I don't know though. He didn't really do. He was trending up, and then he just didn't do anything all of a sudden. His snap percentage was all of a sudden at 15, 17, 26, 19, and then 1. So I don't know what happened there. Roshan Johnson seems to be a touchdown machine. Who are they playing against? Are they going to be lined up for any touchdowns against San Fran? Yeah, I don't want to overload you on too many names. You can always stop in Sunday morning, John. Sub to the channel or remember the name and come on back around and touch on things again. I go live Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then I go live again Sunday morning. Well, I go live before Thursday's game, Thursday night at 6:30, Saturday 7 p.m., and then 2.5 hours prior to kickoff for the Sunday slate as well. So, John, if you want to stop back on through when we get closer, best case scenario Sunday, I might have some different names for you, and just remind me too, like, let's assume Alexander Madison's not healthy. Just say, hey, you had suggested earlier that I play Patrick. So and so are on my waiver wire. Which one should I pick up? Yeah, give me like 3 options. The top 2 projected on your waiver wire and Patrick, and I'll let you know what I think about it then. IP, how much do we think Dobbs getting this week? I'm still keeping him over dumping my fab on Juwan Jennings. I mean, the average for Dobbs, I don't know. If he plays, if he's healthy and he gets over his concussion against Detroit, I mean, 5 receptions is probably over his average, isn't it? I'm going to say 5 receptions. I want to see how much over average that is for him. Nah, that is average. So I was gonna say 5 receptions. He's pretty much like a 10-yard, 50. It's Detroit, maybe 60 yards. No touchdown. So like 8.5 points, and that's probably a little bit above average in terms of the average depth of target and everything there. See ya, Papa. I appreciate you. Matchups are complete opposite. Yeah, Juwan Jennings in a really, really tough matchup. Juwan's going to need to be, like, ultra efficient. I think he's going to just need that one big play. But I also think, like, the touchdown likelihood is very much alive for him as much as it is for Dobbs or more. Rowe, would you rather start JMO or Thielen this week? I've got Jameson Williams on that one against Green Bay. I got Jameson Williams ranked 28th, and I have Thielen ranked 40th, and he might end up like 43rd, 44th, possibly. Pretty much liking right about where he's at right now. I do want to let you know partially in terms of Adam Thielen there. Jalen Coker, they are expecting Jalen Coker to be returning, and that did impact my projections and thoughts on Adam Thielen. I don't know how they're exactly going to work that out, but I did neuter some of the expectations. Not terribly much, but also a little bit. So that concerns me. So if that's not a concern for you, but they haven't been on this same field once yet this season, and they do play the same role for Carolina, so it'll be a little interesting to see what they decide to do. Austin would use Fab on Juwan. Yep, same here. Full PPR. Yeah, I mean, full PPR, the potential of Adams, obviously, Thielen might be kind of higher in a sense for full PPR purposes, or maybe you could say like the potential floor. But because of Jalen Coker and because of the fact that that's the only week that he's had more than like 5 targets this year, Uh, don't give me like too much promise. Jay, I didn't get a chance to read it. You left it, Jay. Jay, restate what you said if you wish, because I will be ending the stream soon, getting back to work here. I'm gonna go overboard just because you might need some for defenses. Yeah, not defenses are kind of like quarterbacks, which kind of makes sense. There's not too many great options available, at least for waiver wire type guys who have a clean slate throughout the playoffs where it's like, yes, I love the 3 matchups that I get in the playoffs. Or like 2 of the 3 are great, 1 of them's okay. There really isn't that. There's a lot of like, one's really bad, one's okay, one's pretty good, that kind of stuff. And it's kind of been like that for a while now this year. That's why our wide receivers are struggling. I feel like there's less parity in the NFL this year than some other years, but there's more matchup yuckiness going on. That's just making fantasy kind of a gray blob for a lot of players in terms of not necessarily like the 25th being a whole lot better than 35th ranked, kind of thing. Tiers. Israel Bunacana or Patrick Taylor for the waivers? Jay, Patrick Taylor for sure has the trust of San Francisco compared to Izzy. I don't know that either one of them. I don't know that Israel does anything. I don't know that Patrick Taylor does a whole lot. I mean, I would be shocked if Israel Banacano does anything. I'll be shocked if he's out there for a snap. Not shocked. I'll be surprised if he's out there for a snap. Outside of like late game type shenanigans. Rowe, definitely right. I just thought about it. And Lions Packers would be a game where Goff actually passes. That's how I feel about it, right? It's not like our defense against the run's amazing, but we do tend to play them fairly well against the run a lot, and we usually do pretty well against them and keep it a close enough game that they'd have to continue to pass as well. Bigsby it is for the win. All right, good luck, Jay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'd say Bigsby has probably a slightly higher chance than Patrick Taylor doing something. I do think there's a chance Patrick Taylor takes I don't know, a chunk of workload that like enough that the Isaac Rendo owners are going to have to be banking on like a big play from Isaac Rendo, or it might be kind of a low floor. I think it's possible. All right, guys, I appreciate you all so very, very much. You made this last hour and 25 minutes of my day today fly by, but I've got to get back to work. Unfortunately, this is playtime. We'll continue working on the rankings. I gotta upload that video. Yep. So wide receiver video will be out in the morning, 8 a.m., but you can watch it whenever you want. Or you can, not watch it if you don't. But I always appreciate if you hop on in there, hit play, let it play, hit the like. You don't have to watch it. Regardless, those rankings, all rankings, as I'm working on them, will be, they're all available up on the website because I currently cannot change the links. So the links will be the same as you could just go to last week's videos. No, 2 weeks ago's videos. You know what? The links probably aren't public, so you'll just have to wait for the links until I post the videos. Should come out in the Wednesday. I'll put them all in tomorrow's morning's video. All right, good night, y'all. End it.